Hi, my name is Felicia.
And I'm Giancarlo.
And this is our review of
Dust Tactics. This is an older game, but we do older reviews sometimes.
This is an older game, but now a new company bought the game.
That's right, that's correct.
Okay. Dust Tactics, as in like ways to vacuum? Or is it more of a Swiffer? And then you clean it up with a chamois.
Yeah, I'm gonna love my nuts. Dust is a miniature game set in the world of, well, Dust. In the box you'll get 2 double-sided poster playmats, really nice plastic miniatures for both sides, including a big mech for each army, unit cards for each of the units and figures in each army. These have stats, weapons info, health, and special abilities. Double-sided terrain boards, 2 anti-tank obstacles and 2 ammo crates covers. Combat dice with 2 hits and 4 blanks on each. And a scenario book which contains 6 storytelling scenarios. First person to complete the scenario or the player with the most victory points wins the game.
Here's how to prepare for a game. Decide how many army points you want to play with your partner. For example, if you want to play a 200-point game, then each player can make an army which has a total of 200 army points or less. Now players choose a scenario or play a death match. Set up according to the scenario in the book, or if you're playing a death match, choose a map and take turns placing elements on the field. Lay out your army in front of you with the figures ready to deploy. You're now ready for battle.
Now each game round is played in turns. One player activates one of his units, and then the other player does the same until all players activate all their units. Then a new round begins. At the start of each round, both players roll 3 dice, and the player with the most hits wins initiative. The player chooses which player will activate first. Now, my big tank is a scouting vehicle, which means he will enter the battlefield before the first round. He can move 2 spaces. It takes 1 movement point to enter the field, and I have 1 left over to advance more should I choose to. Now the game can begin. The first player will choose which one of his units he'll want to activate, then he can do 2 actions with that unit. He can move his speed, do an attack, use a skill, do nothing, or use up both actions to do 1 sustained attack. The only action you can't do twice in a row is attack. Let's take a look at these in detail.
When you move, you check your movement stat of that unit and move that many spaces. The first diagonal costs 1 point, and any other you do after that during this activation costs 2 points. Let's move on to attacks. When you decide to attack, declare your attackers, targets, and weapons before rolling dice. If you look on your stat card, each weapon will have a range. C means close combat only. The weapons you can fire must correspond to what your miniature is equipped with. For example, if I want to use the flamethrower, I have to make sure that miniatures is still in my squad. The numbers on the side of each weapon will tell you first how many dice you roll against a certain armor, and the second number is how many damage you will do per hit. Each unit had an armor type on their card. So for example, this unit has an infantry armor of 3. Which means that if I attack it with this unit, I check the table to see how many dice I roll against it, and how many damage each hit will do. A simple yet effective miniatures battle system. So once you choose your attackers, their weapons, and their target, roll the dice for each of the weapons and see if you hit. If you do, that unit takes that much damage. Each squad miniature takes only 1 hit to kill. Some heroes, like these or tanks, will have health points and need to be done more damage before they are killed or destroyed. If you do a close combat action against an adjacent unit, they also get to do a close combat action in retaliation before damage is dealt.
Now let me explain a sustained attack. You can use both your activation actions to do this type of attack. All it means is that when you roll to attack, you get to re-roll the blanks you rolled 1 extra time, giving you more chance of hitting. Think of this as an aimed or suppressive fire. Once you've activated your unit, did 2 actions with it, you simply turn the card 90 degrees and the other player gets to activate one of his units. Play goes back and forth until everyone has activated all their units. When this happens, a new round begins by resetting your unit cards and each player rolling 3 dice to see who has initiative. Keep playing until you have a scenario win condition or annihilated your opponent.
Next, we want to delve a little deeper into some of the other rules and special ability units might have. Let's start with movement. Infantry can cut corners, but vehicles cannot. Some buildings have small entrances or large ones. If the base doesn't fit, you can't get in. Finally, some units have the jump ability, which allows them to rocket boost or jetpack over certain terrain, which would otherwise be impossible.
Now let's take a look at line of sight, range attacks, and cover. To determine line of sight, the center of the square must have a direct line of sight to the target's square center. Even if you pass through a corner, you have the line of sight, unless passing through two corners from either side of the line. Units block line of sight to each other unless they're shooting upwards towards a tank or a plane. So if you have line of sight, you check range. If they are in the range of your weapons, then you can fire away. Some weapons will have special range like artillery, arcing, or even unlimited range.
Let's take a look at cover. Depending on where you are, you can have soft cover or hard cover. If you're in a square with an ammo crate or behind a corner, you're considered in soft cover. For every hit you sustain, you can roll a die and cancel that damage. If you're in a square with anti-tank traps or inside a building while they are shooting at you from outside, then you have hard cover. For every damage you would get, roll a die, and for each blank you roll, you cancel that damage. Some units are damage resilient. This means that you can roll again after doing a cover roll to cancel some damage that might have went through. These guys are tough when taking cover. If your unit does take damage, you decide which miniature takes the hits.
In Dust Tactics, you can also do reactive attacks. This means that if an enemy unit is in line of sight and in range of one of your units, at the end of their move, you can do a reactive attack should you choose to. These are risky but sometimes necessary to win. To do a reactive attack, your unit must not have activated yet this round. If you tell your opponent that you want to attempt a reactive attack, you roll one die, and if you fail, you miss your attack, and your unit is turned sideways to show that it activated. See what I mean by risky?
The starter kit comes with 2 heroes, one for each side. These heroes are powerful characters from the world of Dust. At the start of the game, you must declare if they are attached to a unit or if they are going solo. If they are attached, you can detach them during the game, but may never reattach the unit. Heroes will have health points and must take damage before being removed.
You'll also find special weapons like flamethrowers who target everything between you and the target, even friendlies. They can damage everyone inside of one unit and do massive damage against vehicles. Another strong weapon type are lasers. These keep firing until you roll all blanks. Every hit you roll, you can re-roll to do additional damage, possibly doing massive amounts of damage. Other weapons take time to reload and you must spend an action to do so. Some units will also be able to berserk, giving you more damage, while others will be able to assault, making them move quickly.
Now this is a review for the core base set only. Dust Tactics has an entire line of product you can add to your collection or army. But what to say about the core set alone? Well, it's awesome. It has just enough rules to make it interesting for hardcore gamers, but easy enough to be played with a 15-year-old. I would say the difficulty of this game is between Rivet Wars and War Machine. First off, the production quality is amazing, except for the map posters. It would have been nice to see some boards instead. The artwork is really nice and the rulebook is one of the best with example images and easy to read with a quick reference in the back. Now let's take a look at gameplay.
Games are pretty quick for miniature games and you can easily play 3 games in a game night. The rules are easy to learn and easy to teach to other players. There's a lot to take in at first, but once you get the basics and learn your unit's strengths, weaknesses, and abilities, the next game will be a breeze. The replay value is tremendous with 6 scenarios, and the products which keep flowing into the market to customize your army adds to that replay value. You can also play in teams and do massive war scenarios with as many army points as you wish. The abilities and special weapons for each unit and characters are well balanced in the core set, and each army must be played differently to gain the upper hand. Vehicles are cool too, and at first you thought they were OP just by looking at them, but the bigger they are, harder they fall. They're more like glass cannons. The game doesn't take too much space, but you can create the maps as you wish, and the terrain tiles make each deathmatch a different one. The core set comes with just enough skills and abilities not to overwhelm you, but enough to make the game interesting. Player turns are quick and there is close to nothing when it comes to downtime. You're always looking to see what your opponent is doing and if you will do a reactive attack or not. If you're looking for a good entry-level miniature game which you can stick with even as you become better and better, then this is the one you should pick up. It has addictive gameplay, and when you finish a game, setting up for another is quick and hard to resist. Small bonus, some of the miniatures have moving parts. We had a hard time finding cons for this game, no matter how hard we tried. Dust Tactics is a game that will not collect dust, and we're giving it 9 out of 10.